Just how corrupt is Fani Willis? Is Obama Biden's puppet master? And what I would do were I an Iowan. Stay tuned, everybody. For the best meat you have ever eaten in your life, go to samsbutchershop.com. Enter the coupon code Triple T when you check out for a 10% discount. Hello, everybody. Trailer Trash Tim. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for being here, and a happy Thursday to you all. I've got a couple of questions I want to ask, or a couple of things I want to explore, and I want to start with three things actually, and I want to start with this. I'm asking the question, just how corrupt is Fani Willis? Fani Willis, of course, is the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, in Atlanta, and she's the one that is filed all these spurious charges against former President Trump. But we've got some news about little Miss Fani that I want to share with you today. Maybe you've already heard of this. George Soros-funded Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis had an improper romantic relationship with a top Trump prosecutor in her office, according to a filing. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Fani Willis financially benefited from a romantic relationship with Nathan Wade, a top prosecutor she hired to go after President Trump. This is reported, by the way, in the Gateway Pundit. In August, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis hit President Trump and 18 others with RICO and conspiracy charges for daring to challenge the 2020 election. The motion was filed in the Superior Court of Fulton County on behalf of defendant Michael Roman, a former Trump campaign official who was hit with several counts in Fani Willis' RICO case. The motion seeks to have the charges against Michael Roman dismissed and for Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and everyone in the DA's office to be disqualified from the RICO case against Trump. The filing claims that Nathan Wade, this is Fani Willis's boy toy, the filing claims that Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor hired to go after Trump, paid for, listen to this, folks. Nathan Wade paid for luxury vacations he took with Fani Willis to Napa Valley and a cruise in the Caribbean, or Caribbean if you prefer, and used money from Fulton County to pay for their out-of-town escapades. County records show that Wade, who has played a prominent role in the election interference case, has been paid nearly $654,000 in legal fees since January of 2022. The district attorney authorizes his compensation, the AJC reported. Nathan Wade was brought in as a special prosecutor by Fani Willis in November 2021. He met with Joe Biden's White House counsel at least twice in 2022, leading up to Trump's indictment, once in May of 22 and another time in November of 2022. Well, isn't this interesting? So we know, of course, if you're paying attention and know what's going on, that these charges that Fani Willis has lodged against President Trump are ridiculous. They're unfounded. They have no merit. But Fani Willis hires Nathan Wade to work on this case. And oh, by the way, he just happens to be a little romantic interest for Fani Willis. And the two of them just decided one day, we're working hard. We need to go take a break. So, they can't just go up to the North Georgia mountains for the weekend, I guess, like normal people do, or, down to maybe the beach in Florida or something like that. No. They decide they're going to go on a jaunt to Napa Valley, way out in California, don't you know? But not only that, they also go on a big cruise, and all of this, apparently, ladies and gentlemen, is at taxpayer expense because the county records show that Wade was paid $654,000 since June of 2022. That is one well-paid attorney. Now, I just said that the taxpayers paid for all this expense, and I say that because all this money originates with the Fulton County taxpayers. So they are, as far as I'm concerned, ostensibly paying these crooks, these criminals, like Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, for all their little romantic rendezvous out to the Napa Valley and to their cruise in the Caribbean. Again, we see politics, and this is politics, as being such an incestuous proposition. In the first place, the case never should have been brought by Fani Willis, but of course she is well known as a Trump hater. She's a Democrat district attorney from Atlanta, so that really pretty much right there tells you just about all you need to know. And her boyfriend on staff is Nathan Wade, with whom she goes for all these little romantic rendezvous and pays this guy almost $700,000 in the span of a couple of years. This is so corrupt, and this is just one example. You've got all these other players with these frivolous lawsuits against Trump, Fani Willis in Georgia, Judge Arthur Engeron in New York, Letitia James in New York, all these people known to be absolute haters of Donald Trump. They're not objective whatsoever. They are driven and motivated purely by their hatred of Trump. It's disgraceful. It is just absolutely disgraceful. All right, let me move on from that, and I want to ask the question, is it possible that Joe Biden, the occupant of the White House, is not really in control of his faculties or his administration? Is it possible that someone else is calling the shots in the White House? Now, of course, if you watch me for any length of time, you know, of course, that I believe this is not only possible, I believe it is absolutely what's happening. And I've even addressed the question, who exactly is running the American government right now? And I submit to you, I have submitted to you, ladies and gentlemen, that Barack Hussein Obama is the puppet master behind the strings. He's not the only one. And of course, there's so many people in this equation. This is like a machine in Washington with these replaceable parts. You've got super PACs, you've got corporations that the government is in bed with. You've got people like Susan Rice and Valerie Jarrett that are right there in Washington, no longer technically a part of the administration, but they are allied with Barack Obama. You know, this guy's from, I thought, either Chicago or Hawaii. I've mentioned before, all the former presidents, typically, that when they leave office, they go back to where they came from. Carter goes back to Georgia. Reagan goes back to California. Truman goes back to Missouri, and on and on and on and on. Obama didn't go anywhere. Didn't go back to Chicago. Didn't go back to Hawaii. Yeah, he's got a spread up there on the beach in Martha's Vineyard, but he's also got some digs right there in the shadow of the White House. And I maintain that Barack Hussein Obama is enjoying his third term as president. And if you doubt what I'm saying at all, then I submit to you a direct quote from the man himself. I don't know exactly when he said this, but he was being interviewed by the late-night lunatic Stephen Colbert, who used to be Stephen Colbert before he got famous. And he sat down for an interview with Stephen Colbert, and he said exactly this. This is a direct quote from Lord Obama himself. Given what you know now, he's asking himself, he's talking in third person. given what you know now, do you wish you had a third term? And I used to say, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement, in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that. I rest my case. From the horse's mouth himself. Anybody with any sense understands that Joe Biden ain't running nothing. Joe Biden can't even put his socks on, for heaven's sakes. This man is mentally incapacitated, clearly. He says one outrageous thing after another. Did you see the other day how he said that he was there at the beginning of the civil rights movement? And you say, this man is such a liar. Well, that's not wrong, because he certainly has a history of lying. But at this point, it's more than just lying. The man simply, in my opinion, does not know what he's saying. I firmly believe that. He just don't know what he's saying anymore, because he's just not all there. So is it possible that he's just a puppet and somebody else is pulling his strings? I just read to you the words from the man himself. Take it for whatever it's worth, but there you go, from the mouth of the man himself. All right, I want to get to my last thing because I want to spend a little time on this. Next Tuesday, today is Thursday, January what? The 10th? 11th? I think it's the 10th. Next Tuesday is January the 15th, and it is a significant date, particularly for Iowans, because this is when all the action gets rolling with regard to the 2024 presidential election sweepstakes. Next Tuesday are the Iowa caucuses. Not so much a standard prototypical primary, day of primary, where you go to a polling precinct and cast a vote. It's a caucus. People just gather in these buildings and they get in little groups and they decide who they're going to support for president, for, in this case, in the Republican primary. And these are very important because it's a very good measure telling us all where everybody stands as far as the candidates are concerned. The Iowa caucuses have knocked several people out of the race entirely in the past. Also, the Iowa caucuses have breathed new life into campaigns that were on life support. Next Tuesday is the Iowa caucuses, and among the candidates in the GOP primary are, of course, former President Trump, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Ambassador Neocon Nikki Haley, and Vivek Ramaswamy. These are the principals in the Iowa caucuses. These are the people that Iowans are going to have to decide who they want to be the GOP nominee in this year's upcoming election. So I've been mulling on this for a day or two and asking myself, if I were an Iowan and I were meeting to caucus next Tuesday with fellow Iowans, for whom would I cast my vote? And I have decided, ladies and gentlemen, that if that were the case, that I would be casting my vote for Vivek Ramaswamy, and I'm going to tell you why. But before I tell you why, I want to tell you that when it comes to former President Trump, I am a man who has never suffered from TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. When Donald Trump came down the escalator back in 2016, or I guess 15, to announce he was running for the presidency for the first time, I thought it was a joke. And I wasn't on board at all. If you recall back then, among the other people running for president were Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, and he was my man. I thought Trump was a joke. I was not a supporter of his. I thought he was no way he would ever be elected like a lot of other people. I readily admit that, and I did not support him until it came down to the race between he and Hillary, and then, of course, it was a matter of how do we keep her out of the White House, and then I became a supporter of his when they were the only two people left in the race. But I want to make it very clear, I didn't love Trump, and I didn't hate Trump. I have always been, I believe, I maintain, rational and objective when it comes to Donald Trump, and that remains the case to this day. This is what I will tell you about Donald Trump. I believe Donald Trump is a good man. He is a highly successful businessman. He did a lot of wonderful things when he was president, and I was glad that he did. He did a lot of things that disappointed me when he was president. He was a fiscal nightmare. He did nothing to tackle our deficits. He did a lot of good things. He did a lot of bad things. The best thing that Trump did for me as president was keep us out of any more shooting wars. And that was a relief. That was worth the price of admission, if you will. Having said all that, Donald Trump has suffered mercilessly from all these vindictive people who absolutely do suffer from TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. He has been unfairly, not prosecuted yet, but they're seeking to prosecute him in multiple court systems across America over frivolous charges. It is true that there was no Russia or that there was no Russia collusion in the 2016 election, at least not as far as what Hillary Clinton said. That was a hoax, and we all know it was a hoax at this time. And the powers that be, the deep state, were in bed with Hillary Clinton. The FBI wanted Hillary Clinton. We know all this now. And what is being done to Trump in our courts is an absolute disgrace. He is being tried unfairly. He is being treated unfairly. There are so many people on the left who just absolutely have nothing but hatred and vitriol for this man, and it is all unwarranted. It is all unjustified. I can look at Donald Trump and I can sit down calmly and coolly, and I can judge his performance as president with no hatred in my heart or no great emotions of hatred or affection on either extreme for him. I believe I can do that. And I also believe that when it comes down to it this November, Donald Trump is going to be the GOP nominee. But I would prefer someone else. And the person I would prefer is going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. I would prefer him as the nominee. If it comes down to Donald Trump, again, against any Democrat, whether Biden makes it or not, we don't know, I will pull the chain for Donald Trump because obviously he's better than anything else that would be running in the Democratic Party. I don't believe Vivek is going to make it as the GOP nominee. I do believe Vivek is going to shock the world next Tuesday. He's predicting he's going to win the Iowa caucuses. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. But I will say that I believe he has the potential to finish second to Trump. And that alone would propel him to great heights within the primary, and it could give us a whole new race. But I want to tell you why I would vote for Vivek Ramaswamy next Tuesday were I an Iowan. And I'm going to come to you directly from his website. I've been watching a lot of his videos lately, this man. I don't know of anything I disagree with him. He says everything I believe. Everything this man says, I'm saying amen to. Vivek Ramaswamy, this is his plan. I'll read fast because I don't want to get bogged down here and hold you too long. But Vivek Ramaswamy, his major points in terms of policy are these. Number one, to revive the American national identity. This is what he says. Use the military, including drones, to secure our southern border. Ding, ding, ding. Number two, end affirmative action. Repeal Lyndon Johnson's executive order 11246 on affirmative action. Number three, protect American children. Ban addictive social media under age 16 and gender confusion care for minors. Number four, make political expression a civil right and end unlawful DEI indoctrination. And number five, withhold federal funding for cities that refuse to protect Americans from violent crime. Amen. Vivek. Number two, unleash the American economy, achieve 5% GDP growth. This number two is the second point. Number one, under this point, drill, frack, and burn coal. Abandon the climate cult and unshackle nuclear energy. Number two, put Americans back to work, dismantle Lyndon Johnson's failed Great Society. Number three, incentivize trade schools over hollow college degrees. Sorry, gender studies majors. Number four, launch deregulatory Reagan 2.0 revolution. Cut 75% headcount amongst U.S. regulators. Number five, limit the U.S. Fed's scope. Stabilize the dollar and nothing more. And the third point, declare independence from communist China. Number one, hold the CCC accountable for COVID-19. Use all financial levers. Number two, achieve semiconductor independence. Secure our modern way of life. Number three, stop CCP affiliates from buying American land. Preach! Number four, use our military to annihilate Mexican drug cartels. Defend against the CCP's opium war. Number five, ban U.S. businesses from expanding in China until the CCP stops cheating. All right, two more big points. The next one, dismantle the managerial bureaucracy. This will get you excited. It does me anyway. Number one, shut down toxic government agencies. The Department of Education, the FBI, the IRS, and more, and rebuild from scratch when required. Number two, end civil service protections for bureaucrats, 8-year term limits instead. Number three, eliminate federal employee unions. Repeal JFK's Executive Order 10988. Number four, move 75% of federal employees out of Washington, D.C. and end pro-lazy remote work option. And number five, cut wasteful expenditures. White House, not individual agencies, will submit budget request to Congress. And the last policy point that he makes here, end the weaponization of government and financial markets. Number one, pardon defendants of politicized prosecutions, Trump, Mackey, and peaceful January 6th protesters. Number two, hold Congress accountable for hush money fund. Taxpayers should not subsidize sexual misconduct. Number three, publish the Jeffrey Epstein client list. Government should not use police power to shield select elites. Number four, rescind Biden's ESG rule for retirement funds. Get politics out of corporate America and capital markets. And number five, oppose CBDCs. Fight all plans for digital currency, a dangerous scheme for government control over our bank accounts. There you have it. Did he say anything there from his policies that you disagree with? Do you hear Donald Trump saying any of this? Maybe some of this, but not nearly enough of it. And it is for these reasons, ladies and gentlemen, that I vote not on the person, but on the policy. Donald Trump, his personality is what it is, doesn't bother me all that much. He's from the Bronx, right? That's how they talk. I get it. That's his personality. I don't hold that against him. His moral indiscretions are well known. I'm looking at this thing from the point of policy, the position of policy. And when I put Trump's policies beside Vivek's policies, Vivek's far outweigh Trump's, and it's as simple as that. By the way, to all the people that hate Donald Trump, if you could just show them a list of the policies and say, how do you feel about these policies? They might agree with them, and then if you told them they were Donald Trump's policies, they would just be aghast because they hate Trump so much. I don't hate Donald Trump. Don't hate him at all. I like Donald Trump, as a matter of fact. But in terms of policy positions, Vivek, in my mind, has got him beat, and beat big time, beat bigly. And it is for that reason that if I were an Iowan next Tuesday, I'd be pulling the chain for Vivek Ramaswamy. And if you're listening to me from Iowa, I recommend you do the same. There is my first official public political endorsement. There you have it. Hey, listen, give me a big thumbs up down below and like this video if you would, please. I would appreciate it. If you have not yet subscribed to the Triple D channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and do that right now. Give me your comments down below on what we talked about today. And I'd like to know, I'd love to know if anybody's listening from Iowa and what you plan to do. And what do you think? If you could be an Iowan next Tuesday, what would you do and why would you do it? I'd love to hear it. I really would. So comment down below if you would, please. This is Trailer Trash Tim. Everybody go out there and have a great Thursday, and I will see you soon.